On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome L.O. Johnson to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Johnson, a former high school track and football star, NCAA record setter, and now CEO of his own training company, Sprint University. From overcoming the challenges of redshirting in college to battling through the COVID shutdown to making his mark with the Wisconsin Badgers, L.O.'s story is one of perseverance and fulfilling dreams. Now he's training future athletes while chasing his own dream of becoming a professional and Olympic competitor. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on Facebook at Survive and Thrive 8791, the podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Before I introduce our esteemed guest riding shotgun today, actually, I'm riding shotgun if we're in the U.S., because you'd be driving because you're on that side.
Yes.
If we're in Europe, I'm on this side and you're riding shotgun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Before I introduce our guest, I'd like to highlight the upcoming Survive and Thrive 8791 Mental Health and Recovery Conference taking place in Madison, Wisconsin. Join us on Wednesday and Thursday, October 29th and 30th at the Ho-Chunk Nation Madison branch office. This powerful two-day event will feature several speakers who will share their stories through mental health and addiction challenges and how they've learned to survive and thrive. You can register for the conference on our website. If you are a business or an advocate of mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Our website is surviveandthrive8791.com. Okay, this is our guest and episode intro. And according to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct?
100% of the time.
100% of the time with a huge smile on this dude's face. Well, if you're in my house, I don't need the internet. I don't need Gemini. I don't need Alexa. I don't need Siri. I don't need the World Wide Web. I've got my wife, Sarah, and she's always right. I love it. Giggle and laugh. You won't be giggling and laughing someday. According to an AI, artificial intelligence overview, a small percentage of college track athletes, around 2%, go on to compete professionally or in the Olympics. While a significant number of athletes compete in college, the opportunities for professional or Olympic careers are limited. Today, our guest still has a dream to do both, and he's working his rear end off down in Houston, Texas. So today I welcome L.O. Johnson to the Buck and Honey's remote studio. L.O. grew up in Waunakee, Wisconsin, and attended Waunakee High School and is a proud Warrior. After high school, L.O. would take his talents to the University of New Mexico before transferring back to the University of Wisconsin. A recent psychology graduate, L.O. is currently the CEO of Sprint University, a system for future track athletes. I'm so glad you could join us today, L.O. Johnson. What is up?
Awesome, man. I'm excited to be here.
How has the summer been going? You're back in Wisconsin, which is great because you could come on the show today from Houston, Texas. Is it hot AF down there?
Oh, it's blazing. Right. Every day.
Every day blazing. I remember my sophomore year of college, we played Rice University, which is right in Rice. UW Platteville Division III men's basketball goes down and plays Rice University. Mm-hmm. Beautiful campus, by the way. Mm-hmm. Only like 3,000 students go there, something like that, but it's Division I. And I remember this orange haze that blanketed the city, and we all of us from Wisconsin are like, oh, hey, get this orange haze like UW-Platteville's colors. What's the orange haze? And back then it would have been 89 or 90. They said that is what we call smog. Do they still have a little bit of smog down there?
Definitely. So I actually train at Rice.
Oh, you do? Yeah, it's kind of small, and I don't know if you do know or if you don't know, but back in the 1940s or 50s, there's it's an interesting little clip from a football game. This dude from somewhere, maybe Texas A&M, is flying down the sideline. He's going to go in and score a touchdown, and all of a sudden, somebody from Rice University comes in, tackles him from the sideline.
Like a student?
No, his player.
Okay.
There's a player, tackles him, knocks him down, whistle blows, and then whoever tackled him went back and sat back down on the bench. So
From the sideline.
From the sideline. So
Wow.
I would recommend it. Yeah, Rice. So summer's been going good?
Yeah, it's been going really good. I'm excited to see my family, friends. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Yeah. So would this be considered your vacation then?
Yeah, so we're about 1 week out from the season ending for me. So I would say this is probably the beginning of the unwind period for track.
Unwind. So speaking of unwind, what do you do to like unwind and chill and kick back?
Unfortunately, I don't know if I've done too well with that yet. I'd say it takes about 2 weeks for me after the season to fully decompress, fully get my mind off track, and kind of get back to other things.
So getting on the plane kind of starts it, and then when you land and touch down in Madison, and then you can kick back on parents' couch or whatever and just hang out. That's kind of your unwind.
Yes, most definitely. Spending time with family is huge for me. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah, it's good. You get to catch them in their world because normally they're kind of following. I know your mom and dad, and I don't know much about your sister, but I know your mom and dad have always been huge fans of yours. So I'm sure they're following you around all the time, and now you get to see what they do in their world.
100%. My sister's always behind the scenes, but she's definitely one of my greatest supporters, I would say.
One of your greatest supporters. All right, before we get into your story, I need to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Hello, do you cook?
Yeah, I meal prep all of my meals in the beginning of the week. So Buck and Honey's is definitely something that I will visit being back in town, though.
What is your genre? What is your style? What is your cuisine when you're meal prepping?
Yeah, I keep it very simple. So everything's on the grill. The carbs are pretty much your rice, your potatoes, and a lot of veggies.
With their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back. With locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the metropolitan area of Madison, Wisconsin, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. Here's a drum roll. Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
Yes.
You have. Okay. I know you said it's been a while, and your dad, who's over lounging on the couch over here, he said pizza. So I would recommend that if you guys get to Buck and Honey, especially in Waunakee or Monona or Sun Prairie, grab some of that delicious pizza. On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we talk about what was it like, so we'll get into Ello's history, what happened to get Ello on the podcast, and in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened, get into what it's like now, and we discuss Ello's 5 suggestions for thriving. So what was it like before and what happened? You were raised in Waunakee, Wisconsin. What was life like growing up in Waunakee, Wisconsin?
Man, I would say definitely a lot of love between friends, family, and then just a really heavy sports atmosphere growing up.
And for you, that probably started with, and I know we'll get into a little bit, but certainly the track and field started at an early age. But I know with Waunakee, and having coached and my sons growing up in that particular program, you started with youth football in 4th grade back then. And then were you hooping at all? Were you playing hoops or wrestling? What else were you doing?
No wrestling. I wasn't that tough.
No wrestling.
But basketball, football, and track and field were the major sports growing up.
So during the summer, what was LO doing? I mean, do you have a neighborhood pool? Were you riding the bikes around the neighborhood? What was going on?
Any day in the summertime, we were either on the bikes, fishing, playing tag, football in the front yard. I mean, I guess we rarely were inside in the summer times.
You are not the norm now. A lot of kids spend a lot of time inside. You are not the norm. Tell us about your family growing up, mom and dad. Dad is one that I got to know, and I love your dad. He's just a huge supporter, and you too. And then your sister, and then you also have a special someone. So tell us about your immediate family.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better support system from mom, dad, sister, significant other. I think on a daily basis, with my personality, it might drive a lot of people crazy, but they're really good with helping me and supporting me. And honestly, I just hope that I can do the same for them. My dad I call him my best friend, but he's also my father. Same with my mother and sister. They all just play a huge role in my family.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, I've changed my phrase and how I say this, is that behind every great athlete are some great parents and siblings, but I've changed that to now where not behind every great athlete, but walking hand in hand and next to all great athletes and husbands and wives are usually other family members walking side by side. And I know your parents and your sister have probably done that for you. Tell us about your special someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I met her in college. I actually met her on an official visit to Wisconsin.
Oh.
Yeah. So I wanted her to be my girlfriend back then. And unfortunately, it did not go out that well. They say shoot your shot, but I kept shooting and it went in eventually.
And was she a former track athlete too?
Yeah, she's a long jumper.
She's a long jumper. Can she jump farther than you?
Yes, I would say so. I haven't jumped in a long time, but yeah, she definitely has jumped further than me.
Okay. You graduated from Waunakee High School and you're a proud Warrior. What were some of your favorite memories in high school?
Well, I mean, I have so many of them, right? But
let's break it down then. Let's go with sports first.
I feel like a lot of athletes, the first answer people say is obviously, we've won state titles. We've done a lot of those things. But I would say if I had to pick a specific moment or one of my favorite memories, it would 100% be us losing in the playoffs our junior year. Because my grade in particular, I'd say we were pretty confident that we were just going to win state. We were a very confident grade, but losing to teams that we've dominated since we began playing tackle football that we might have overlooked in the playoffs, it hurt so much to us that, we banded closer together and just overcoming that, even with the loss of Chamby, right? Somebody that we all looked up to.
Yep.
It was a low moment for us, but looking back on it, that moment brought us closer.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point of just thinking about it now as you're talking about Max. Mm-hmm. You had some good friends and you had some good coaches, and you would lose a coach in a kind of a tragic way, Max Chamberlain, and it wasn't, coaches move and coaches move on and they stop coaching. Well, he moved on, and then, we had tragic loss of him, and it was huge. It was like in the worst way. So a lot of your experiences have been either that one worse or the greatest, from winning your junior year, the 100-meter dash, and then coming back your senior year and you guys winning the state championship. You've experienced things on the extremes, which I think has maybe kind of propelled you into where you've been, lately with your college experience and whatnot. As far as some levels and layers, you're an athlete, probably an athlete first. What were some of your favorite memories of high school that weren't centered on athletics?
I'd say definitely the lunch table. Right. There was always something funny happening at the lunch table. Everybody had jokes. And then even, studying with friends, right? I have some extremely intelligent friends, and I can see how they learned, and it definitely impacted me as well, just moving forward.
We talked about you're a product of your environment, and you probably picked up a few good jokes from your buddies at the lunch table, but then you also picked up some strategies and how to do homework. Probably definitely helped you. After high school, you would take your talents to the University of New Mexico, the Lobos, where you were a two-sport athlete. What was the lure for New Mexico, and were there any other suitors? I know there were other suitors, but who were in your top five? And then again, what was the lure of New Mexico?
Definitely being able to do two sports was the main one. And then also they were running
run and shoot.
Yeah, like a run and shoot, triple option. So that was something that was very interesting for me to be able to use my speed in that way.
To try to fit your skill set to what they had.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
100%.
Any other people that said, hey, we would like you to come and do both?
Well, there's a few other schools that would like me to do both, but it wasn't really as the forefront as New Mexico presented to me on my visit. It was like, well, we had some people do it, and it kind of got swept underneath the rug, and you could kind of tell that the coaches weren't all for having athletes doing two sports. And once I got to college, I learned it was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
Speaking of your visits, I know from previous experience working with athletes, everybody gets 5 visits. Did you take any other visits?
I think I only took 3.
You only took
2.
3.
I only took 2, actually.
And where was the other one?
Wisconsin.
Oh, it was. And they weren't going to allow you to do both?
Well, my story with Wisconsin was a little bit different. I actually took my official visit to Wisconsin for track.
Okay. And your love at the time had always been track, or was it football?
I would say football has always been my first love. Track, I kind of had a love-hate relationship with it growing up, but it turned out to be, what God called me to do. So
yeah, you would eventually transfer back to the University of Wisconsin for your last 3 years. How did that all come about? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, coming back to Wisconsin was a dream come true and a blessing. I have family members that went to Wisconsin. Both of my parents went to Wisconsin. And growing up, I always just wanted to be faster than my dad. I probably told him every day, I'm coming. But deep down when the opportunity came, it was something I had to jump on immediately.
So back then, who had to make the contact? Was it you contacting the coach, the track coach at the UW, or putting out feelers there? I mean, how does that work? If somebody's listening to the podcast, a young athlete, and I put the description in there that L.O. Johnson started at one school and he transferred to another to follow his love, and somebody's looking at that and they're listening, what could you tell somebody if they're interested in essentially getting into the portal now, was what it is? How did that all work for you?
Yeah, I would say for an athlete doing it today, the main thing would be actually knowing where you want to go. A lot of athletes just get in the portal and then they're thrown into the ocean or thrown into the fire. Then there's all these schools with NIL, a lot of junior college athletes. And even from a high school athlete, it might be harder for them to get scholarships than it used to be. So being very clear on where you want to go before jumping in the portal, and if that opportunity is even there, it's something that you should definitely look for before making that decision.
So back in 2020, I believe, did you call the UW and kind of feel it out as far as, hey, are you looking for sprinters? Because that's what you did. And if they've got a bucket load of sprinters that are running really well in the 60 or the 100 or your events, they're going to probably take a pass.
Yeah, 100%.
But how did that all go? Did you call them up? Did you send emails? Did you have your dad go over there and talk? I mean, how did that work out?
Yeah, so I would say for sure before 2020, when I sat with my guidance counselor, pretty much as a freshman, I wanted to be in the best situation academically to transfer. So if I wanted to go to Indiana, if I wanted to go to Michigan or LSU for track and field or football, whatever it be at the time, I wanted to be able to do that. So I'd say starting with the end in mind from the beginning in 2018 or 2019 was the big thing. And then actually making that step forward to going in the transfer portal, you definitely need to look at the team's roster. If there's sprinters, they have 7 sprinters in track and field. To be on scholarship, you probably have to place at the NCAA championship. So if you're entering a team and you can't score points at conference or help the team at a national level, then you probably won't be getting much scholarship money. And that was in 2020. I can imagine what it is now with NIL and all the things changing. So really making sure you're putting yourself in the best situation for the school that you want to is huge when you're transferring.
So you probably had to keep your grades in order to keep those planets aligned that, hey, I can have all of the speed and all of these times in the Mountain West and in the NCAA, regionals and eventually getting to the championships. But if I don't have the grades, they're not going to let me in. Mm-hmm. Or they might let me in, but I've got to do some work in the summer before I get there, before they even have a shot. Did you have any other, what was your plan B if Wisconsin doesn't, if you can't get in? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have a plan B?
Yeah, big thing there was it came down to Wisconsin or Indiana at the time. Indiana had a sprinter who I still compete against today, to this date, but I really wanted to go home. It felt like I would be settling for something that wasn't truly my dream at the time. On paper, if you looked at it, it might made more sense to go to Indiana, but it wasn't the dream God gave me in my mind. When I closed my eyes at night, it wasn't a Hoosier.
Indiana. It wasn't
Hoosier.
A big I.
Yeah, it wasn't a big I. It was a big W on my chest. So,
oh God, that's great. Because our listeners want to hear the rest of your story, because there's some things you had to deal with, some adversity you had to go through. I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. So Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask me why Buck and Honey's owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He is a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. In 2020, L.O. Johnson would transfer back to his home state of Wisconsin, and we're all darn glad he became a Badger instead of a Hoosier. A quote about why he transferred home kind of sums things up. And I got this quote from an article written somewhere on the internet, because the internet is always right. He says, quote, "I chose Wisconsin because it's an honor to represent the state I grew up in. The opportunity to build and carry on family Wisconsin legacy is truly an honor and a blessing." And like I said earlier, I think it's just a great thing that he was able to come home and we could all watch him and from afar and near, and it was just a good thing. So please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim DeCora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Eventually, all good things come to an end. In 2023, L.O. Johnson's amateur track career would come to an end, something that he has done since he was about 8 years old. He will share how he has survived and thrived after doing an activity like track for almost his entire life, and he's still involved, and we'll get into that as well. So segment 2, you graduate from Waunakee High School in 2018, and you're headed to the University of New Mexico. You would redshirt your first year, and you were down there to play both football and run track. And you came back for your redshirt freshman season, and you would only appear in one game during that redshirt freshman season in 2019, rushing 3 times for 9 yards before suffering an injury that would sideline you for the remainder of that football season. Since the show has a mental health component to that, how did you handle the adversity of essentially missing a whole football season, and you're laid up with an injury? How did you handle that? Because we've got some listeners that are going to tune in to find out, what it is that makes L.O. Johnson tick, and looking for some things. They might be looking for all of the good stuff, but this is actually good stuff too, and how you handled that adversity. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, well, I've had teammates from high school that went on to go perform in college as well, and they had similar injuries, right? They were out for the season. So I'd reach out to them, and they would tell me how they were dealing with it. But also having good mentors, having good coaches, family, friends were definitely there to support me. But when you're on the sideline in a sling, and you supporting everybody else on the team, often you can feel as if you are alone in those moments, especially when you aren't able to do something that you put pretty much everything towards.
And that's something that you're probably not used to. You're the guy that the reserves, the second teamers, the kids who are injured, they're the ones that are cheering you on. Mm-hmm. Now the shoe is on the other foot for you. You're injured, and you're having to perform a role that you're not used to performing. That took a little bit of getting used to.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And it also shows you how precious it is to have good teammates, right? Because that is the most selfless act you can do, to want to be out there, but still support your teammates. And I think that's probably why we were very successful in high school, just being selfless. No matter what the role was, everybody wanted to be their best.
So somebody probably rubbed off on you during your high school career that, whether you knew it or not, you could handle being in a sling at New Mexico and not being able to run. What were some of your feelings? Were you feeling some anxiety about your situation? Were you feeling blue, depressed, bummed? What was kind of going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, there's definitely all the emotions. I'd say the main one was a feeling as if I didn't belong, right? So everybody goes to college, and they're probably the best player on their team or one of the best players in their team. And then they get thrown into a college situation where you might not be the best player on your team. So it's almost starting from zero. And then working hard, working your way back up, leading up to this moment to then have a season-ending injury. I mean, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It almost feels like you have to reinvent yourself in that way.
You did. I'm thinking back to, as you were talking, I'm thinking back to when you maybe ever experienced that, and you probably didn't. You started out 4th grade football, spread out on 3 teams, and you were probably one of the best kids on your team. Middle school, and then I remember when you came to high school, you were one of the first ones to bypass freshman football, and you were put on the JV. And I remember you getting a lot of carries and And so you've probably never been presented with a situation where you either had to play a backup role or you were injured. And so that probably took some getting used to. And it was how did it feel to be out of your comfort zone?
And this kind of leads back to what we said earlier. When you're out of your comfort zone in the beginning, I mean, it sucks. It's not fun at all. But looking back on it, these moments, being injured, redshirting, not having the season that I want, those moments truly prepare you for what's to come. And, being injured in 2019 prepared me for 2020. 2020 prepared me for 2021. All of these things I'm grateful for because it's really helped me refine who I am as a person.
Did you start to notice when you were reaching out to former high school teammates, college coaches, maybe your parents or friends, did you notice you started to feel a little bit better when you could get some of the weight off of how you're feeling off your chest or shoulders? Did you feel better talking about it?
100%. It's always better talking about it than kind of just internalizing the feelings. Because most of the time, there's somebody who's had the exact same situation you've had, or if not worse situation, and excelled at a massive level from it. So having the experience of talking to so many different people, especially the ones in my community, it was a strong component of it.
Was there a point where somebody said something to you that made the biggest impact of all of these people that are helping you out and encouraging you from afar or near? Was there a point where you said, okay, now I'm feeling better than I felt yesterday or 2 weeks ago? Was there a point where you felt a huge impact?
Yes, there definitely was a point. I remember being in the role of supporting teammates while being injured. I remember helping some teammates, and one of them made a comment to me, and it definitely made it seem as if I should have not been there. I'm thinking, wow, man, I'm trying to support you, and I want you to succeed. And as I come to help you, it almost feels like you kicked me while I was down. And then having to build back up from there, I remember getting healthy again and having a coach. His name was Coach Holsapple. And he gave me just a little bit of a compliment. And it's like, that's all you needed, right? Just someone to help build you up. So I'd say there was definitely the moment with Coach Holsapple that kind of helped me slowly regain my confidence.
Give you that just that little nudge to go right in the right direction. In 2020, you star for the University of New Mexico during the indoor season before the world came to a halt. You would eventually transfer back to the University of Wisconsin and become a star. And you had some motivation for becoming your best at the UW. And that was a little internal motivation of you wanted to be as good or better than your mom and dad. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's fun it was a fun time coming back to really pursue something that's been there my entire life. And even at times where it felt it would never actually happen. Or even at the times where it felt like I was so far away from actually even coming close to those goals. And the motivation was just, I would say the motivation is still at an all-time high, but it was a very special moment being able to do that directly in front of your parents, right? They see the motivation every day I wake up, or they see the effort levels at practice. They can come and watch it. They can see all those things. It's a very special gift that I'm honestly extremely grateful for.
And did you ever beat your dad's times?
Yes, eventually.
Drum roll.
Eventually, we knocked it down the list a little bit. So it was a beautiful experience.
Be able to say, I finally got you. Mm-hmm. Took me 20. How old were you when you?
I think 21.
21. Took you 21 years to be faster than your dad.
A long time.
A long, long time. So speaking of long, long time, all good things must come to an end. You would run your last collegiate event in June of 2023. Mm-hmm. How did your rough patch in 2020 help you after not doing as well as you wanted to at the outdoor track championships and that kind of that last event. How did all of those things that you went through in 19 and 20 help you when you realized it's all over with? I'm done running college track. Go ahead.
Wow, that's an amazing question. Because in 2019, 2018, I thought I was going to be able to compete for the team in New Mexico for track and field. I got there. I was a football player body, so I was pretty heavy. So most of that season, I competed unattached, which was another moment where it felt like I thought I was able to compete on this level. And then, come 4 years later, 2023, to be at a national championship from, not even being able to represent the team's uniform in New Mexico to being at the school I want to go to, running faster than my parents, achieving goals deep down that I've always wanted to. It felt like a complete circle, but then starting at the bottom again.
I could see where you're having to rebrand, redefine yourself, take a look at what it is that you've got going on after your college season's over with, and then doing some evaluation and trying to figure out where do I want to go, what do I want to do next. So you would finish your collegiate career, you would get your degree in psychology. You still have this dream to this day that you want to be a professional track athlete. You also want to compete in the Olympics, and you're going to keep working hard. But in the interim, you are the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Sprint University. So what is L.O. Johnson doing now?
Yeah, well, I'm grateful to still have the opportunity to compete as a professional athlete. But in track and field, it's one of those sports where you're either in the United States or you're overseas. So it's a lot of traveling. But I know I also had a passion to instill the knowledge that I gained over those 4 years to the athletes that I've worked with. I mean, I trained athletes in high school. I trained athletes in college. So a day for me is, I wake up in the morning, I get into the Word, I pray, I do all of those things, and I'm just preparing for practice. My coach has us practice around 9:30. My training group in Houston is...
So speaking of your coach, let's just mention who that is quick.
Yeah, I call him Coach Anderson, but he's known as Vincent Anderson, Coach Vince Anderson.
Okay. And you mentioned that he also has a group of other professional athletes that he's working with. So you get up in the morning and you go and work out with him. Talk about kind of some of the stuff that you're doing.
Oh, yeah. So I have an amazing group of training partners. We're all short sprinters. We're around that 10-1 and below range for sprinters. And then we have a couple 19-second guys in the 200. And then we have some 400 runners as well. I'd say there's maybe about 5 Olympians in our training group right now. And it's one of those things where you look forward to battling it out with your teammates every day.
So you finish your workout in the morning, you grab one of those prepared meals, and then when does Sprint University, when does that work start?
Yeah, so the second half of my day is all Sprint University, whether that's meeting with my teams, meeting with the athletes, and helping them achieve where they want to achieve. So the main thing there is we have to get clear on the vision, right? And once we're clear on the vision, the path becomes easy. We usually say in, Sprint University, when the why is strong enough, the how is easy, right? That's just what we focus on first.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you at Sprint University, and we got a freshman, sophomore student, track athlete listening, or a parent's listening to this podcast today because they want to help their kid out, how do they go about getting in touch with you and working with you? And then once they are in touch, what does that look like? So start kind of from the beginning then. Yeah,
so since, I'm grateful for my current schedule, most of the time if an athlete wants to get faster, they reach out to somebody on my team. A lot of people DM me, and then the process go there from Instagram. And then they get in contact with one of the assistants on our team. they'll map out, they try to find the lowest hanging fruit, and they try to get a clear understanding of the athlete, of what they want and where they want to go. From there, if it makes sense, they go ahead and book a call with me. I go on that call, get a good feel for them, see if they're a good fit. And, if not, we still point them in the right direction of where they can go, because everybody situation is different, right? We have an athlete from Mount Horeb this year, actually. I probably should have never said that, right?
Yeah.
But
no, that's all right.
An athlete from Mount Horeb, and his situation is different. He can't train outside like we would in Houston. Mm-hmm. So just trying to find his situation, being multiple sport athletes, it's fun, right? It's just trying to find how can they unlock their speed.
So we talked about this ahead of time too, is that you do a lot of your you do a lot of your work and coaching via the Zoom call. Mm-hmm. And in the Zoom call, are they throwing up, they're sharing the screen and here's my last event. Do you break down their form and technique, and then, or do you have them, hey, we need you to do these couple of training runs in your gym or indoor track at your school, and then I want you to film it. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah. So, I guess let me take a step back before that. So all of our athletes, from day one, we onboard them. So we have to ethically see where their weaknesses are before we give them any training plan. And then from there, the onboarding process tells us, okay, what's his sleep like? What's his nutrition like? Or does she have the habits that she needs to sustain this level of training that we're giving her? Those recovery things. And then from there, we have 3 to 4 film analysis every week. And our athletes, we meet on a Zoom bi-weekly basis, and they all get within 24-hour response times from any messages as well.
You bring up such a couple of good topics that I don't think a lot of premier high school athletes think about. Maybe the great ones do, but some of the ones below that, you're not only talking about skill and technique and form, but you're talking about other things like sleep and nutrition and maybe what they're putting in their bodies on the weekend or what they're putting into their bodies in terms of supplements. So you're talking about more than just the total package is not just form and technique. Mm-hmm. It's all kinds of other things.
Yeah, we call that the pillar speeds in our program, right? So we focus on mindset, recovery, nutrition, sleep, and movement mastery.
Yeah, and there you brought another thing up, just how the mind thinks as well. So good stuff. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens and pencils, and jot some things down. Here are L.O. Johnson's 5 suggestions that have allowed him to survive and thrive the ups and downs of being an elite college athlete on the track and field. Here's what you shared with us, and I'm going to toss these in underhand softball style. L.O., can you hit a softball?
I think so. It's been a while.
I think so. It's been a while. All right. We'll make it simple. All right. So these are the 5 things you said, and I'll start with number 1. Keep God first. Go ahead and hit that in about 60 seconds or less.
Yeah, it's exactly what it says, man. If you keep God first, no matter what obstacle you can face, right, you know that you are confident. You should be confident in whatever you do, because whatever God gives you is working for your good.
I believe you just talked about it a little bit ago, that you wake up, the first thing you do is get into the Word, get into the Scripture, Bible, or something. Number 2, know your dream. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, so if you have a dream, you have to be extremely clear on what you want. It makes the road easier if you know where you're working towards. So put God first and know your dream.
Number 3, act in accordance with the inputs required for the outcome. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, you kind of brought this up earlier, right? What are you doing on the weekends? Is what you're doing on the weekends going to help you get the outcome that you want? And if it's not, it's probably not the correct input.
And you're not going to get the outcome that you want.
Correct.
Number 4, do so much volume of the inputs that it would be completely unreasonable that you don't achieve your goal. Go ahead and hit that. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, right. I might need to sum that up a little bit more. Pretty much for this one, I'm not asking you to overtrain, right? I don't want anybody to take this and say, I'm going to do 100 reps. Mm-hmm. But almost, as soon as you feel like you've done enough, maybe take that next step and just see if you can take one more step. And then that's how you constantly improve. You just really just be so sure that, okay, I've done this to the absolute best that I can.
So do one more sprint instead of 10 more sprints. And then maybe the next day do one more and just keep adding to it. Number 5, lean towards your community and faith when it feels like it's taking longer than you expect or not going how you dream it would be. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, I mean, we all have dreams. We all expect that if I do this for 6 months, I should be here. When in reality, it could be 3 years, right? So if you expect that your goal might take 6 months, realize it might take 3 years to achieve that goal. And when it feels like things aren't moving fast enough, or you're actually going in the opposite direction of your dream, lean toward that support system you have.
Because they can help you out.
100%.
What an episode. I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your story and how you handled the ups and downs of a college athlete gave us a look behind the scenes, that even though you might have the world in the palm of your hand and you're breaking records and things are going well, they might not always be going well. Your story reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a person is met with the challenges of life. Despite that, you have survived and really are thriving. Our call to action, L.O. Johnson just shared his story about how he endured the ups and downs of being a college track and field star. He is taking what he learned and his experiences and sharing that with his clients he's working with today. Here are L.O. Johnson's 5 suggestions that helped him survive and thrive during that time. Number 1, keep God first. Number 2, know your dream. Number 3, act in accordance with the inputs required for the outcome. Number 4, do so much volume of the inputs that it would be completely unreasonable that you don't achieve your goal. And number 5, lean towards your community and faith when it feels like it's taking longer than you expect or not going how you dream it would be. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts, L.O. Johnson?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely grateful to be here with you. And I hope that this message inspires anybody that might feel like they can't achieve something, but the dream is still alive and it's burning inside of them.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's been 2018, I think, when you graduated, and actually never got an opportunity to coach you, but you didn't let that get in the way of you and I getting to know each other. And I think the fact that, maybe I was there and said, hey, how's it going? How's the training been going? Where are we at? Where are we at in the state as far as number 1 or number 2? So I was always interested, and I'm glad that we've been able to keep this little friendship up between that time. And I'm also thankful for that great input you gave me on the Frontier restaurant down in New Mexico.
Yes.
It was great stuff. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.
See ya.